What is up, YouTube? And today we are going to be talking all about shells. Now, shells are a very important part of this game. They're basically like the artifacts or weapons of Etheria Restart if you come from Epic 7 or like other gacha games with weapon systems like Genshin, and they're just super important to do. Now, of course, modules are also very important to build up as well, but for the most part, modules aren't as important. Like, actually, they're not nearly as important because they're only going to be used really for their matrix effect or their set, and also for their main stat. You don't really care about their substats too much for PvE, especially early on, but shells, you're going to notice, have a much bigger impact because they come with very high stats. You get a ton of health, you get a ton of attack, speed, defense, and these passive effects you can roll are huge, as you can see on the right here. 20% attack is insane, and the skill that these shells come with are game-changingly broken, right? This one literally has you have a defense break on any character every time they take a turn, or every other turn, which is super strong. You can also see the one with Leanne here. This is a mythic one of the best ones in the game you can farm right now. You can hit twice after you do an attack and do 200% damage and give you extra crit damage up to 10 stacks. You can also see, if I go to my Mio, every 3 turns the enemy takes, I get 30% turn meter, and this is no cooldown. You can even see like this mythic attack bonus, 28%. So you can kind of see what I'm saying. Mythic shells are crazy good, but even epic shells are crazy good, so they're definitely worth farming. Also, shells are going to have a lot more recycle value. If you recycle a shell because you don't want to use it anymore, or you want currency back, you'll get 70% of the value back of things that you upgraded with, while modules only give you 40%. So shells have way more value when you're recycling them. And honestly, these have way more long-term value because you can get these red shells a lot more quicker than you can get these red modules, right? To have a full loadout for one character of red modules, you'll need 6. Shells, you literally only need 1. Of course, you have to awaken it, but shells, for example, are a lot easier to farm, is what I'm trying to say. And a lot of people kind of tunnel onto Doki Doki or Teramaton. I also talk a lot about them because yes, you will farm a lot more here later on, but for the most part, the early game progression, your gearing and stuff like that is going to be heavily gated by your shells. A lot of people neglect shells and they just have good modules and they kind of just wonder why they can't beat stuff. And while yes, you do want to have your modules leveled, especially the right side pieces for the main stat, your shells are going to make a big difference. And there's like huge breakpoints that you're going to see when you're farming shells. So for purple shells early game, like very early on, like up until level 20, Tamamodoji from Apate is pretty good. You'll also see up to Karuru, something like a Star is pretty good as well. Same with Mermaid Princess for cleansers. And there's another one, I think it's called Unbridled Science from Shadowrunner. This is like one of the best ones early game, so you can upgrade these to like level 20 and you're pretty good. But after that, you're going to start seeing that when you get to the Febian, Whitney, and Niconana, this is where you get the really good ones. So Black Flag is a unique one. It's gold. Same with Twilight Knight. Black Flag is like honestly the best shell for mid early game progression because you can pretty much put this on anyone. It gives you a 2-turn speed buff, which is crazy. It gives you turn meter push. It also comes on Swift Rush set, which is very nice. And Twilight Knight is also very good for damage dealers because like I said, it just gives you a defense break before you attack, right? And then after that, you can see a Niconana. This is where you get the late game shells basically. You can basically get White Fang, just makes you do a ton of damage, and Gigabyte, which makes you cycle very quickly. Honestly, progressing to shells is pretty easy. If you ever struggle, you can just look at the teams people use by clicking on the book here. And you can click recent clear to see like more realistic teams instead of speed teams. And you kind of see how people progress through it. The only hard ones, I think the biggest wall here is going to be Febian, Whitney, and then of course Niconana because of the last 3. I'm just gonna tell you how to make teams for this pretty quickly. For Febian, you really want to get through the first phase as soon as possible. You fight Phoebe and then Febian, I believe, and then if you don't kill Phoebe fast enough, you just kind of get DPS checked. So you want to bring a lot of damage. It's really nice to have anything that can break defense. Gray is very good. So you can bring something like a Gray, and then you want something that can help you turn cycle. So Freya's pretty good, Lilia's pretty good, Chiaki the Echo's pretty good. Then you're going to want to bring a main DPS like Leanne, Rosa's one of the better ones, Messiah, even Romoka if you have her built. And then you want like another support. Like you can bring like a Marvel, you can bring like a Kloss, you can bring pretty much anything for that slot, even like a buffer like Beyontin, right? Very flexible. just a simple team comp, right? Just a DPS, defense breaker, buffer, and a support. It's going to be kind of the same thing for Whitney. Most likely you'll be able to use the same team for Whitney as well. And that's mostly going to be because, you know, it's pretty similar. You just kind of nuke the boss as soon as you can. You can see the team comps are pretty similar here. The only thing is it is a red boss, so you can't bring your Rolmoka. So you have to keep that in mind, but it's going to be pretty similar. If you guys are looking for a good SR option, if you go to the speed clears, I'm pretty sure it's going to be dieting in a lot of these as well. So you can bring like something like dieting. This guy is super broken for single target damage, and you can blaze through. Now for Niconana, this is the one where people are struggling on right now because this is the one that you farm late game. Basically, guys, the easiest way to do this is you just bring something that boosts your speed, and you bring something that brings the enemy team's speed down, and then you bring a defense breaker, and then you bring like a single target nuker. That's the easiest way to do it. You're gonna see most team comps are gonna have some sort of that. Like very good units are like Marvel because they can push down enemy speed. Freya is okay as well because even though she doesn't have that speed thing, she has this attack buff which boosts your damage. Something like a Kloss is super good here because she has defense break and speed down. Probably the best character here. Even though it's a red boss, Kloss is just super strong here, and she's not really doing damage, so it's okay. But basically you just want to make sure you have characters that can boost your speed and also maybe even bring the boss's speed down. You don't need both, but both makes it super easy, and that's how I've been farming it. And then you just want something to nuke the boss. Now I'm going to show you guys the team comp I run. So this is literally the team I run. It seems a bit unorthodox. I don't have a speed up, but I do have speed down for the boss, which is going to be very nice. Lily is a very good speed up character as well. I forgot she has one, but the reason why I use this comp is very specific, right? Even though I don't have like the normal comp for this, you're gonna see why I like to use this comp here. So the biggest reason is I do have Kloss to speed down a defense break, that's a given. And then I have Hellkit here because I don't want to speed tune my team really, and I want to give this Shroud barrier to give everyone immunity so I don't get stunned. These bots can stun you. And then I have my Beyonce buff my team, and then my Messiah is basically just doing damage onto the boss here. And usually I just have the auto play settings to just hit the boss because you're basically just going to nuke the boss only. And this team comp works really well for me because basically it gives me a lot of safety with this like unorthodox team comp. And even though if my Kloss dies, Beyonce can res my Kloss here. Now I don't think this is the best comp, but it is what works for me. You're way better off looking at the comps that other people are running, in my opinion, and running that. I think it's easier because you don't have to rely on all SSRs. But for me, I decided, let's just try this. I want to have some fun, and it works. This is like a 85-90% win rate, so not the most consistent, but you know, it's good enough for me. And you're gonna see it's pretty safe. Yeah, this is just what works for me. And I'm sure there are better team comps that you can run. Even though, you know, people die here, you can see why Beyonce is so good in content where you're not using a healer, because she buffs your team and then she also can res people pretty consistently. You can see right away, just get a drop. This is an insane set. I have Swift Rush and Onslaught, which is pretty crazy. But you can kind of see, you know, how simple it can be if you just have like a plan going into it for every boss. But yeah, shells, guys, definitely worth focusing on. I'm going to be making guides separately for Niconana, Whitney, and Febian that are more in-depth about, you know, what characters you want to bring, especially Niconana, because I think this is like the big wall people are hitting. But, you know, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.